What does that inspire in terms of behavioral change in the moment?
Well, I think it's that thing of like, I think gratitude is such an important virtue. And people talk about gratitude practice, and it does take some practice. And it often takes it's like a way of reframing the way that you see the world. So I think that we suffer in the West a little bit from life dysmorphia. You hear a lot about body dysmorphia or gender dysmorphia. We've got life dysmorphia. A lot of people think their life is terrible because there's kind of the hedonic treadmill. You get used to how great your life is. No one had a hot shower until 50 years ago. So I try and do this thing when you stand in a hot shower. George Mack, my friend, pointed this out to me. Well, look, when you stand in a hot shower, just for a moment, just go, well, no one that you admire from 100 years ago had this simple pleasure in life. And when you look at the world that we live in, we're like, there's been 100 billion people ever, right? We are in the top percentile in terms of the luck that we have had. The lives, like the calorific intake that we just take for granted, the fact that our children don't die, in the first year, the modern medicine and our lives and the entertainment that we get. We're living like kings. And yet, life has never been objectively better and subjectively worse, because the nature of humanity is our desires are mimetic. So we've got this thing where we sort of, how happy are you? Well, it's your quality of life minus envy. That's how happy you are. And it's easy to look at everyone else and how they're doing and not take pleasure in what you have.
It's funny because there's a cost to a hot shower, isn't there? And that's exactly what you're describing there, because subjectively, I think a lot of people don't feel like they are very happy. And I think objectively, if you look at some of the stats around suicidality and depression and mental health, it doesn't appear that people are any happier. So even though we have sort of materially improved our lives, we have hot showers now, there's a cost to the hot shower in the sense that maybe it's made life too easy. Maybe it's made life too comfortable. Maybe we're in a comfort crisis.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said on that. I mean, I suppose it's very tough love, but you can't have an easy life and a great character. Show me a trust fund kid that inherited a bunch of money, and I'll show you someone mentally tortured. It's true, right? Everyone's like your struggle, where you've come from in Plymouth, in living in poverty, to now, having stuff isn't fun. Getting stuff is fun, right? It's not the pursuit of happiness; it's the happiness of the pursuit, right? It's that thing, and it's not like, the self-help. It's not the journey; it's the destination. It's not either the journey or the destination. It's who you become on the journey. And here's the terrible thing about life: it's self-assignment. Like, there's school and college, and then you get dropped into the real world at some point, and you go, well, you have to decide what you're going to do, and you can take an easy path, and it's ultimately less fun. It's short money, or you take a hard path and you give yourself a challenge, and it's great. And I think, a lot of the times it's that thing of like, it's hard to do. Life is really, really tough. Those are tough things to hear, and it's easy for us because we're sort of on that road. But then, the thing I love about this podcast is you're sort of there's so much kind of wisdom in it, so many stories that you're giving people this kind of roadmap for, okay, well, make your life a little bit harder in the short term and get somewhere. I mean, it's really, I didn't really get what religion was until comparatively late in life. Like the idea that God is a proxy for the future. Right, so God represents the future. So work hard now for a better life in heaven, right? So it's the same as all self-help. Like, so sacrifice the present for the future. Work is kind of the same. It's a sacrifice of the present for something better in the future. That's like, it's an interesting thing to sort of think around, isn't it? That like, what you're going to do now. So I've got this Chris Williamson, Chris from Modern Movement. He's a really good friend of mine. He's a lovely guy. And we came up with this idea. So me, him and George Mack were chatting about what should you do today that you tomorrow would be happy you did. So sort of 24 hours in the future, how best to live. Because people sort of set like, oh, well, I'm going to do something for 5 years, so it's this huge goal. But you won't rise to your goals. You'll fall to your systems, right? So that thing of like, what could you do tomorrow what could you do today, rather, that you'd be happy you did tomorrow? Whether it's the food you eat, the exercise you take, the work you do. What do you do? Oh, right, I went to the gym yesterday. I feel great. Like a little bit of DOMS, or, oh, I wrote 10 jokes. And tonight I'm on stage trying those jokes. Oh, well, thanks, me, yesterday. I did something that was good. So you can time's going to pass whatever you do. And you can give yourself gifts in the future. You can be rich, and you can have a six-pack, and you can be successful, and you can be in a happy long-term relationship with a beautiful family. You can give yourself those gifts, but there's some tough times in the present to give yourself that gift in the future.